Good afternoon. Let's start this meeting of the panel on security. This is the first meeting in 2015. Here I'd like to wish you Happy New Year. Now, let's proceed to item 1 on the agenda. Confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Well, we're confirming the minutes. Shall we actually discuss the minutes? This is confirmation of minutes. Oh, we're confirming the minutes. Well, the minutes have already been distributed to you on the 2nd of December 2014. The Secretariat has not received any proposal for amendment. Any proposed amendment now? No? Then I suggest that the minutes be confirmed. Thank you.
去到第二項嘅議程就自上一次會議舉行至今。
Item 2 on the agenda, information papers issued since the last meeting. Well, you can read the papers here. LC paper number CB bracket 2418 bracket 01, a letter from Ms. Claudia MO. And then paper 419 bracket 01, a letter from Dr. Joseph LEE. Paper 511 bracket 01, the administration's interim response to the letter of Ms. Claudia MO. And then paper 529 bracket 01 again is the administration's further response to Ms. Claudia MO's letter. And then we also have a letter from Ms. Claudia MO on the 2nd of January 2015. Now, all these papers have been distributed to you. Ms. Claudia MO, you've raised your hand. Concerning the Lennon Wall being defaced by a teenage girl, we really have to see whether the police is menacing her under excuses for the sake of stability. For children protection orders, usually is only when a child is in danger or when the child is endangering others. But of course, we won't interfere with privacy. We have to look at the broad principles and the full picture. Well, they're actually using an excuse to punish this girl so as to warn all others. So I think the administration has to clarify this, particularly the police representatives. Well, Ms. Claudia MO has written in. We also know that this is being handled by the court. So at this juncture, I do not think we can discuss this individual case. Perhaps we can refer this to the administration asking for a written reply. Then we'll see how things progress and then examine whether or not we should include this on our agenda. Mr. Chairman, I of course won't oppose a written reply. However, on the 19th of January, the court will revisit the case, and after that, no more. So we would like to queue up on the agenda because that has nothing to do with protection of children orders. All right. If there are no further questions on the information papers, I will proceed to the date of the next meeting and the items for discussion. As for the discussion items for the next meeting. Our next meeting will be held on the 3rd of February. This meeting will mainly focus on those areas of the policy address in relation to this panel. The Secretary for Security and the Commissioner ICAC will attend. As for Ms. Ho, Mr. James Cho, and Mr. Kenneth Leung submitting a letter in relation to the proposed setting up of a subcommittee to discuss how to handle the media in their reporting. I would like to have this discussed. So that will be the arrangement for the next meeting. On the 27th of January, we'll have a special meeting. Every year, the Commissioner of Police will report on the crime situation. This time is for 2014. The meeting will be held at 2 p.m. So just a reminder for you. Let's proceed to item 4 on the agenda. The next generation smart identity card system. I believe many members would like to speak. Would you please raise your hands?
秘書提緊啦，我表完之後咧，請入嚟，請入嚟。
Please invite them to come in. Yes, I'll read out the names. I'll read them out. Be patient. In attendance today for the next generation smart identity card system, Mr. John Lee, Undersecretary for Security, Mr. Billy Wu, PAS for Security, Mr. Corrado Chow, Assistant Director, Immigration Department, is for Information Systems, and Mr. David Chiu, AD for Personal Documentation from the Immigration Department, and Ms. Caroline Fan, the Chief Systems Manager from the Immigration Department. Welcome. The arrangement will be that the administration will first do a PowerPoint presentation. I understand that many members have already raised their hands. So, Undersecretary, can you make your briefing as short as possible so that more members can have a focused discussion on the subject? Undersecretary. Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll try to be brief. In 2003, we got the SmartTix launched. The hardware and software are aging. In terms of maintenance and replacement, we're encountering more difficulties. The materials, including the chips, have reached the end of their 10-year lifespan in 2013. So from now on, there will be more and more damaged cards or cards not in order. In 2010 and 2014, the Immigration Department conducted a consultancy study on the third Information System Strategy, ISS3 review. Now it is recommended that we have a new era of smart ID cards so that we can continue to operate. By updating ID cards, we can use the new generation of smart ID cards, and there will be enhancement on all fronts. If members so agree, we hope that in the first half of 2015, we'll ask the FC to allocate funds for us to launch the program. If the funding application is approved, we'll develop and design the system such that in 2018 we'll commission the system. And then we'll start a 4-year replacement program in Hong Kong. There will be a large-scale publicity exercise to introduce the details to the public. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Corrado Chow, the Assistant Director of the Immigration Department, to do a PowerPoint presentation. Then I'll ask Mr. Chow to particularly speak on the security measures and plans for this SmartTix 2. So, Mr. Chow, please be brief. Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, members. The following briefing will focus on a number of points concerning the background of this exercise. Just now, the Undersecretary already introduced that to you. To save members' time, I won't repeat what the Undersecretary has already said. I'll directly go to our recommendations. In 2018, we'll have the new generation smart ID cards to replace the existing system. And there will be a 4-year territory-wide replacement exercise. The new generation smart ID system will enhance hardware and software to ensure smooth operations. There will be automation, and personal registration will become more efficient and cost-effective. New measures will cover online filling of application forms, self-help ID card registration stations. In the process, members of the public can use the automated system to check records, and there will also be online cabinets, which is a self-help system. Now, I'd like to introduce to you the special features of these new cards. These new ID cards will be more durable with cryptographic techniques, and there will be polycarbon materials used. There will be a larger storage with all sorts of reading techniques so as to facilitate reading of data. For printing techniques, the laser engraved particulars will ensure that the facial images and materials on the card cannot be changed easily. As for biodata, we'll have a high density technique to introduce new fingerprints templates. As for security against fake cards, more features that can be identified by the naked eye will be introduced. On the existing Smart ID cards, there are already a number of techniques to counter fake cards. For example, we have multicolor printing, violet printing, as well as twisted form of patterns, and so forth. On top of these features, will suggest that new technology against fabrication will be adopted, which has proved to be practicable. In the feasible study, it is suggested that a new technique against fabrication should be introduced. That will be implemented later. Now we have transparent windows in the market for detecting fabrication, that is the see-through windows. We also have the hologram effect. As well as lenticular effect. Finally, we would also suggest full-color UV image. As for the territory-wide replacement exercise, it will last 4 years with 9 replacement centers. 8.8 million cards will be replaced. For short-term post, there will be around 800. For replacement exercises, we'll take reference to the frequency of entry and exit of different groups of the public. This will be carried out in an orderly manner. This territory-wide replacement exercise has considered a number of aspects. First of all, members of the public don't need to pay a fee. There will be different avenues for the submission of applications. For example, they can make online appointments and fill in application forms in advance, or they can fill out such forms in the replacement centers through the self-help kiosks. So through a reasonable period of time, all existing IT cards should be replaced to reduce the impact on those citizens using immigration services with broken cards or damaged cards, for example, in the use of e-channels. This will make the use of e-channels more expeditious. Now let me draw a comparison between the new and old systems. Now these are the salient points. We hope that we can apply for a one-off funding allocation of $1.45 billion. For the old system is $1.23 billion.
The time required is 4 years, the same as the last time. There will be 9 centers as in the last exercise, and there will be 8.8 million cards to replace. Last time it was 6.8 million. There will be 816 short-term jobs instead of 852 in the last round. The capacity of a chip will increase from 30 odd KB to 80 KB. The interface will be from a contact type to a dual type. First, the contact interface for reading and writing will be maintained, and then we will include optical reading and a wireless transmission system. In the existing system, the security is ensured by PKI. In the new system, it will be BAC or above encryption key as in addition to PKI. On data collection and storage, we would act in accordance with Section 4(1) of Registration of Persons regulation. Counterfeit special security features, it would be enhanced and updated, and the time required to pass each channel gates will be reduced from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. And self-help services, the online appointment would include form completion functions, and there will also be self-help collection services. And there are other functions such as library cards, e-certificates, which can be provided in accordance with the wishes of the card holder. The estimated non-recurrent expenditure will be $2.19 billion, including the $1.45 billion for the development and also for the rental of the centers, as well as short temporary staff costs. It's $1 billion in terms of staff costs to hire more immigration officers and IT personnel to support the card replacement exercise. And for engagement of contract staff, a non-recurrent expenditure of $460 million will be involved. For the 10-year period, there will be the need to spend $820 million to purchase brand smart ID cards and others material. The implementation timetable is like this. If the proposal is supported by the security panel, we plan to submit the proposal to the Finance Committee in the first half of 2015. If it's approved and funding is provided, then we'll have to develop the system, we'll have to test and implement the system. The system will be up and running in the first quarter of 2018, and the replacement exercise will start from the second quarter of 2018. That's all for my presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chow. We have the following members who would like to raise questions or make comments. Mr. Kwok Wing Hung and a number of other members, including Mr. Kwok Wing Fan, Mr. Ma Fung Kwok, Mr. Kwok Wai Keung, Mr. Lam Tai Fai, Mr. Kung Shi Fai, Mr. James To, and some other members, 18 of them. Any more? And Dr. Fernando Cheung. All right. Any more? Then we have a problem when too many hands are raised. Ms. Ann Jiang. So 20 members would like to speak. So I have to manage time stringently. 3 minutes is not sufficient. 4 minutes. I'm going to stop you when 4 minutes is up. I'll have to stop the officials from carrying on with the reply. I've drawn a line. And for those who join us after this, I'm not going to give them 4 minutes each. Mr. Kenneth Kwok, I have short questions. I hope there will be short answers. Would there be RFID technology incorporated in the new smart card? RFID, radio frequency ID. The short answer is yes, but not just RFID. The new smart ID card would require 2 steps to read the card. Mr. Kwok has mentioned the first one. When we've opened the first door, then you need to go through the second reading. This is the optical reader. And then it would look at the barcode of the ID. And after reading the barcode, there will be the decoding the encryption, and then the second door will be opened. And therefore, the technology referred to by the member would be active. I ask this question because from the little things I know about RFID, that is, the range can be up to 100 meters or more. That is, say, if I sit here, Undersecretary, you sit over there. If I have a suitable device with me, I can check your ID, the information stored in your smart ID through RFID easily. In Hong Kong, the checking of Hong Kong ID is subject to the legal restrictions. And under Article 28 of the Basic Law, no one can be searched without good cause. If I have this technology and I can search the information on your ID, it's against the law. It's against the Immigration Ordinance and the Police Force Ordinance. There must be good cause, reasons. There must be reasons. You cannot just check without good reasons. So how can you make sure that there will be no misuse of the technology to check other people's identity cards? Undersecretary, Well, this just will not happen. As I've said, there are 2 doors, 2 steps. And you have to use an optical reader to open the first door before you can access the second door, and that is the RFID will be activated. And it's unlike the supermarket or the storage yard's RFID technology. We have different safeguards in our software. There's the encryption key on top. There are 2 other safeguards. First, the readable area of the chip will be reduced to a minimum. In a storage yard, the technology can be applied to a distance of 100 and 200 meters. But for our technology, the range is just 20 centimeters. And before you read the RFID, that is to say, before you can access this door, the reader would be restricted to a range of 2 cm. And that is beyond 2 cm, you are not able to read the information. So if I am really close to you, I may be reading the information on your smart ID without your knowing it. So that could happen. That could still happen. No. Maybe I can ask Mr. Chow, the Assistant Director, to say more about the technology. Next, Ms. Claudia MO. Can we have an answer first? Well, I'll let other members have the chance to have a go at the same reasons. Given the social atmosphere, the white terror, and people are now being pursued for different legal liabilities, Mr. Kwok is concerned that RF frequency can have a range of 100 meters, and you're saying that your technology is just for 2 cm, a very close range. So your technology is so good that it's foolproof. Even if you have high-tech equipment with you, it's not possible to check your ID. Are you 100% sure about this? And even for non-contact reading and writing of the information, it's just it's confined to 2 cm. It's just like contact type of reading. And you have an encryption key. Of course, normal people will have no access to such technology. Chairman, you and I will not be able to use this. But if I'm from a public security authority and I'm a LEA of a certain jurisdiction, I may have access to the encryption key. Can you promise us that this will never happen? And also for you are going to have 8.8 million new smart ID cards. Are we talking about the entire population of Hong Kong? Are we talking about the entire population, the entire voter population? First of all, the technology is used in Europe, Germany, Finland, where they attach importance to human rights and security. And the technology is used in passports. It's not brand new, but it's just that we want to adopt this in the new smart Hong Kong identity cards. I'll ask the Assistant Director to supplement. Simply put, we are just going to install an additional door before our FID can be accessed. We have BAC plus PKI. BAC is what the Undersecretary has said. That is, you need to have an optical card reading before you can open the first encryption key, so as to establish an encrypted communication channel so that the second tier of information transmission through RFID, which is also encrypted by an encryption key, can be activated. So you have to take out your Hong Kong identity card before someone can see it. It's just like this. I want my question answers. Is it 100% foolproof? You can just answer this question. As I've said, you don't have to repeat. Just say yes or no. Foolproof means that if I do not take the identity card out, the door cannot be opened. The first door cannot be opened. Can you give us 100% guarantee? Well, can you answer this question? To me, there's no 100% guarantee. 100% foolproof must be qualified. Under what circumstances? Okay, what about encryption key? I've just got 2 seconds left. Mr. Charles Moore. This is a scientific subject, but for this complicated technology, we've got so little time, and the paper from the administration is so sloppily drafted, and what is lacking is the technological details. The people outside are concerned by Mr. Kwok's question, and that is your information can be read at a great distance. Members must understand that RFID may not be as active as a radio frequency. It can be active or passive. You look at your Octopus cards, your e-pass code, and auto tow. They are all related to RFID.
All of them are RFID, but serving different functions. We cannot say that in future, within a meter or within a mile, the particulars can be read. We have to look at this issue technologically. Unfortunately, the administration has not provided sufficient information. I'd not like the administration to repeat what they said about optic technology. I think their explanation was reasonable. That's a public concern, but I'm more concerned about smart ID cards, e-passports, etc., implemented in other jurisdictions. There are already doubts and worries. That is about the encryption key, because in some jurisdictions, the pattern of the encryption key can be guessed correctly very easily. So we need more technical information for handling this issue. I can't do this in 4 minutes. So, number one, the government must provide detailed technical information for us, such that we can verify the measures you described to us, and then we can draw comparisons with overseas jurisdictions, such that we have confidence in you. I can't claim to be an RFID expert. I don't think other members are either. I don't want just to ask non-scientific questions before we make a decision. I hope that you can commission independent scholars and experts to help you explain, well, not explain, to help you prove your words, such that at least we're sure that the particulars in the cards wouldn't be stolen. And without your knowledge, your particulars may be read. I'm not afraid that the government will read those particulars. But what about the bad guys reading the information? May I refer you to page 5, footnote 4. There you say that you use the optic technology to start the functions of the chip, to retrieve data from the chip. But then you use the word consider. You're considering only. That's not your final decision. So have you made a final decision yet? The PowerPoint does not use the word consider, but in the paper, the word consider is used. Under Secretary, I'll defer to Mr. Chow because this is a technical question. Yes, the word consider. By the word consider, we mean that this BAC has been developing in different phases. So we're considering whether we'll use PASC, SAC, and so forth. Well, Mr. Chairman, he just gave us a few letters in the alphabet, but we need more detailed information for a decision. Mr. Albert Chan, for the general public, they have a feeling of conspiracy with this idea of replacing ID cards. Not long ago, you replaced our ID cards. Now you'll be spending over $1 billion on this exercise, and the annual recurrent expenditure is to rise drastically. So people doubt whether this is value for money, and this is a sensitive time. Now you are proposing this exercise, which will be a nuisance to the public, and will be spending a huge sum of money on this. Well, all livelihood issues are competing for resources. We're striving for dental health care for the elderly people. Many elderly people have all their teeth rotten, but no subvented dental services are provided to them. Now, these elderly people are suffering, but you disregard their suffering. Now, administrative cost can be as high as $3 to $4 billion. So you'd better use that to help the elderly people. As for technology, the government cannot ensure that other avenues can be used to steal the data on the cards. Every time when the government came, they claimed that there are all sorts of merits. However, because of abuse, the general public had been suffering. For example, for the purchase of time bombs, they're used on the general public. As for the pepper spray, is used on unarmed citizens. Some police officers just cause the general public to turn back so that they can spray pepper spray on them. Well, the immigration department may develop to such a stage that we get an official like Mr. Zhang Weihong, and then the mode of operation of the immigration department may change. In the past, government departments are professional, operating in an orderly manner and have conventions. But after C.Y. Leung assumed the post of CE, there were all sorts of worries and problems. I hope that immigration department officials will maintain their past reputation and operational mode. Don't model on C.Y. Leung or Zhang Weihong. We should reprimand them. Well, this is unrelated to this issue. Oh, it's related, because this is about security, the immigration department, and the abuse of power. Well, they are depicting a beautiful picture for us. So, Undersecretary, the police has changed its conventional practice. Now you are depicting a beautiful picture in front of us. Can you guarantee that this replacement exercise will become a tool of power abuse? Undersecretary, first of all, I do not agree that government departments have not been observing the law. I didn't say that. I only mentioned abuse. Don't distort the truth. Just look at the TV scenes. A member of the general public was patted on the back by a police officer, and that citizen turned back, and the police officer just sprayed pepper spray on her. So how can you ensure that in future the data on ID cards will not be abused? Well, law enforcement agencies will be law-abiding, and we have a monitoring system for them. How can you monitor such behavior? Police officers were spraying pepper spray on the general public. Mr. Wang Yokman, well, Mr. Chairman, in this council, we're always wasting our life. That's meaningless. Well, you may say that we are over-worried, but members of the public don't trust the government at all now. This is very clear. That's why you heard those remarks from our colleagues just now. Well, Mr. Chow may say that we're talking about information security and technology, and we're digressing. You may despise us. However, our role and function are to doubt you, even though there may not be any doubt. ID card replacement and the setting up of this new system have sparked worries among us. You have to understand that. So all the more you have to give us clear explanation. Don't drag this on. The question is whether this is really necessary. In 2003 to 2007, all ID cards were replaced. Now we're only 7 years after that exercise. Now you're telling us that the lifespan is 10 years. How do you do your calculation? Is it really necessary? Is it that the system has to be replaced after 10 years? And then why can't the system be separated from the ID cards themselves? Why should they be bundled together? You have to explain this clearly. As for the enhancement of efficiency and cost-effectiveness, this is a rather vague remark. You are telling us that billions of dollars will be spent on this. Well, I think you just try to justify yourselves. Even though we're holding smart ID cards already, they have to be replaced. So tell us why this is essential. Well, detailed system design, blah, blah, blah. All these are unacceptable. Another advantage of the new system is that in the printing process, the printing time can be lessened. Still, you need people to do the job. So human resources are also our concern. Now, I have limited time. I want to say a lot. Just now we're worried about the chip technology support. We all have reservations. That is the RFID. We're all very concerned about that. We noted that the government said that in future, at different stages, independent consultants will be commissioned to carry out privacy impact assessment. I can't accept that. Have you done that already? If you have done so, why didn't you publish the results? So for RFID, we should have a paper from the government, including consultancy reports, the PIA result, and so forth. Otherwise, we can't support you. All of us are very worried about this RFID, whether or not it will impact on privacy. So you have to tell us all the details of your plan, because we're talking about information security. Well, we shouldn't be blindfolded. Well, many of us here don't know much about this, except Mr. Charles Mock. Since so many of us are ignorant on the subject, you have to explain to us. Well, just now I already said that even if things are proved beyond reasonable doubt, we'll still doubt you. That's our responsibility. Mr. Chairman, the immigration ordinance, Mr. Kenneth Leung, well, this part of the immigration ordinance is actually left over from the previous time when we had a lot of refugees. Of the OECD countries, which countries require ID cards, identification documents, and which countries require their citizens to carry ID cards with them among all the OECD countries? How many of them? Number 2, you should be able to answer this now. For the personal data in our ID cards, at the moment, what personal particulars are there? Name, date of birth, address, etc., etc. Can you give us a table? Or you can give us a reply now. Under Secretary, well, just now members asked us to look at overseas jurisdictions. That is, how many of them require their citizens to carry ID cards. We'll go back and conduct a study. Just OECD countries. Well, I'm not asking you to look at all the 180 countries throughout the whole world. We'll collect information first. And then, as regards the particulars set out on ID cards, the law makes it very clear that these include name, the Chinese codes, date of birth, sex, ID card number, photo, the thumbprints of both hands, the conditions of stay.
In the case of non-permanent residents, condition of stay and the day of issue of the ID card. That's clearly set out in the registration of persons ordinance, and what the information can be stored is also set out in the ordinance. Can you give us 100% guarantee that without our knowing it, in the smart identity card, there will be other information stored in the chip? Can you assure us that this will not be done? As Undersecretary, under the law, there are provisions requiring us to store certain information. What about information other than the information required? Well, it's optional. Some people choose to store an e-cert or a library card or the e-health records. That is optional. We are liaising with OGCIO on such optional information data, and also the new direction to take. But for the mandatory, the information is stipulated in the law, and we cannot exceed the law. Will you review the Section 17C of Immigration Ordinance requiring everyone to carry the identity card with them? What is the ethic of doing this? We know that in terms of, when it comes to security, the effectiveness of law and order maintenance can be assisted by this requirement. I've lived in the UK, and there's a requirement that people should carry ID with them. Well, I never did so when I was in the UK. Mr. Wong Kok Kin, let's not look at this from an entirely negative angle. Otherwise, we are going to be suspicious, and we are going to cause unfounded alarm. Still, I have some questions for the administration. You said that after 10 years, the system for the smart ID will have to be replaced. What about the new system? Is it going to be replaced every 10 years? We all know that this is a nuisance. It's going to disrupt people's lives. If it's going to be replaced every 10 years, it's going to be a major nuisance and disruption. And what if we do not replace the old Smartic system? For example, in the case of the application not being approved for funding, what would happen with the old system in such a scenario, Undersecretary? We are talking about the computer system and also the hardware, the card. The warranty period is 10 years. We have talked to the contractor over the system. We've asked the contractor to extend the warranty period. It has been agreed. But the system is aging. And there are breakdowns. I can give you some figures. On average, there are 100 breakdowns every month with different workstations. We're also concerned about the image storage system, and that is the system to store photos and fingerprints. In the 5-year period, the breakdown rate increased from 5 to 32. It's a 6-fold increase. Although the system is designed to last for 10 years. Why 10 years? In our study, companies, IT companies in the market always provide guarantee or warranty for 10 years. Of course, in selecting our contractor, we will ask for a longer warranty period, but we must live within the capacity of companies in the market. By 2015, we are now talking about 10 years. It will be 15 years after the introduction of the last system. If we do not introduce the new generation of smart ID system, while the warranty provided by the contractor is 10 years. We have taken the car to some lab for analysis, and no lab has promised us that it will last beyond 10 years. So at some point, there will be massive breakdowns or malfunctioning. I cannot guarantee that this will happen in 2 or 3 years' time, but this is bound to happen if we don't do anything. So suddenly, one day, in a certain month, there will be 50,000 or 200,000 cars are malfunctioning. And if we only started to handle the problem at that point, it would be irresponsible. It would create massive security problems. So we have to find some way to deal with a system for which the warranty period promised by the contractor or as assessed by independent labs would soon expire. If we do nothing now, there will be chaos. And you cannot use the car for traveling, and you cannot use e-channels. Mr. Leung Chi-Chang. Well, the Undersecretary hasn't actually answered all the previous questions. I hope he can address those questions in a moment. I don't have a negative assessment of the proposal. If we look at the last exercise and some of the figures, this gives me some curious impression. It said that the old system is aging. The chances are there is a possibility of forgery, of increasing forgery of cards. You said that you use the encryption key called PKI, and now you're going to have a dual encryption. All right, let's say we don't go for the new system. Did you consider the problems that you are now expressing when you chose the contractor back then? And that is, after 10 years, technology would advance and private companies will move on to another platform, and this system may lead to the risk of forgery. It said that there were 100 forgery cases. Some 11 million cards have been issued. This is curious. So it seems that the cards are not of good quality. We have only got 7 million people. The chip rusts easily. So what are the advantages of the new smart identity card? We're talking about 11 million. You are going to spend $2.9 billion current plus recurrent. You haven't really told us the recurrent expenditure in detail. Can you explain, please? Let me clarify the incidence rate. 100 breakdowns. I'm talking about the computer system, actually. The forgery of our smart ID is not serious. And for the forged cards that we have identify the technology used is poor. In some European countries, the forgery technology is more advanced, and that's why we have to be prepared for the worst case scenario. It doesn't mean that the current situation with forgery that is serious. And mention has been made about chips malfunctioning. We're talking about two things. First, the card, the plastic card, is subject to the wear and tear and may have chip corners. Second is the damage to the chip itself, rusting and so on and so forth. We have 63,000 cards suffering from chip damage. It's 0.5% of the total number of cards issued. So the chip reliability is acceptable, although we always want to get better things. Annually speaking, let's say in 2013 in the report, 25,000 cards were reported damaged, such as the cards snapping, and under 10,000 cases are about the chip being damaged. Mr. Chen Kam-Lam, there are four major reasons for this proposal. First, the current smart identity cards have reached its usable life. Second, you want to prevent forgery. You want to increase durability and enhance the technology of the chip used. On chip technology, apart from incorporating additional functions, insert, library, card, and service, and so on and so forth. Can we do more? Can we do some other thing in the new smart identity card? Say the electronic wallet for payment, for easy payment. And what about traveling documents? On the mainland, they are promoting e-travel documents, and our home visit permit is also getting a new version. If we use a new chip technology, we can incorporate much more functions. There's still a lot of e-space in our smart identity cards, which is not put to good use. It's a waste of resources. If you tell people that more can be done, more functions can be taken on board, people may find it easier to accept because the exercise is going to cost us a lot of money. But of course, there are people who are going to be worried about the advanced technology. They are concerned about exposure of your own identity. If you're a good person, there's no need to be concerned that your personal information may be stolen. So what kind of additional services can be taken on board by the new system, by the new ID card? Under Secretary, at present, there are two major functions of our identity card. First is the proof of your identity. Under our law, under the Registration of Persons Ordinance, there are things that we need to do, and of course it's of paramount importance to us that we comply with the requirements in the law. Second, there are enhanced functions. As Mr. Chen has put it, we would like to have more functions so that it's more acceptable. The first important principle is that the additional functions will not affect the core functions of the ID card, and then security will not be compromised. So if such conditions are met, we would like to make sure that the ID card is of greater use to the general public, and the OGCIO is now working with us to develop these functions.
入境處以外嘅。
Beyond the immigration department will also have room for maneuvering. Within the system of the immigration department, it's highly secure with a high degree of privacy, and it will also match the functions of the immigration department in terms of identification verification. As for other areas of use, the office of the OGCIO is indeed carrying out a study. After that study is completed, we'll see how other functions can be included. Dr. Elizabeth Claude, to be followed by Ms. Emily Lau. Thank you, Chairman. Many of our members' questions just now targeted the issue of RFID. Can the government explain clearly why our new ID cards must adopt the RFID technology? I defer to Mr. Chow. Mr. Chow? Thank you, Chairman. Well, the smart card to be used as a travel document or an ID card in terms of global trend, we're heading towards a non-touch system. Now that's the foundation of this exercise. We have to interface with the platform of technology. If we maintain the contact type of system, then our ID cards can be damaged more easily. As for the non-touch type of operation, in future, members of the public can pass the e-channels 4 seconds faster, and the possibility of damages will also be lowered. And at present, the chips are exposed. In terms of storage and use, such chips are more prone to environmental erosion. Well, just now we mentioned Germany, which is a technologically advanced country. Their national ID cards are using the same platform, the non-touch system, PASC as well as PAC plus KPI. Dr. Quad? Well, Germany also uses the same platform of non-touch operations. Just now, we're worried about the particulars on the ID cards being read by others. Do you have similar situation in other jurisdictions? Well, theoretically, you can read RFID data from a distance. But if you ask me for actual cases, if we use BAC, even if you don't take out your card, then I don't know of any case of the data being read optically. Well, some people are worried about the government using the new ID cards to collect information about those participating in mass assemblies. Is there such a possibility? Well, if you don't take out your card, absolutely, the data can't be read. What do you mean by take out? That is, if you don't take out your card, the card cannot be sighted by the naked eye, then the optic technology used won't be able to read the data. No others can read those data, including the equipment of the immigration department. For this optic reader, it must not be more than 2 centimeters from the card. So we particularly add this security measure in to safeguard the data. Well, members, can I discuss with you about this discussion. I have 10 more members on the queue, so we'll need 40 more minutes. We have 2 more discussion items: the latest situation of the operation of control points and the provision of a barge operating platform for the marine region of the Hong Kong Police Force. Well, after 40 minutes, we'll only have 20 minutes left. It's impossible to go through those 2 items in those 20 minutes. So may I seek your advice? Will you have many questions on control points? Oh, you don't yet know? In that case, can I consider postponing this item to the next meeting? Under Secretary, can we do that? Well, there's an urgency for the barge operating platform. So can I defer item 5 to future meetings? So we only have 1 item left, that is provision of a barge operating platform for the marine region of the police force. All right, let's continue with the present discussion. Ms. Emily Lau and then Mr. Christopher Chung. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank the Undersecretary for coming to the Democratic Party in the evening to explain to me and Mr. James To. I told the Undersecretary then this very concern of our colleagues. It's just like what Mr. Charles Mok said. The major concerns are covered in footnote 4 on page 5 in very small letters. Even if you're able to read those letters, you won't understand what they're saying. And I asked that the footnote information be put on slides, bigger slides. Well, this is a major concern of the public. If we don't resolve this, they won't support councillors in supporting this proposal. Well, just now, the Undersecretary seemed to have understood us, but he has not done anything. I agree with Mr. Charles Mok that he had to give us more information. Chairman, we may not know everything, but many members of the public have that knowledge, but they don't have the information, so they have doubts. If you don't give them the information, you're adding to their worries. What will result then? They'll ask us not to support this. I asked for a table yesterday, not a comparison between the old system and the new system. I want a table on the new system. I asked him for a number of things, but he had done nothing. Yesterday, he said he knew what we were talking about, and now he's just sitting here without giving us the information. So he's wasting our time as well as his time. So, Undersecretary, please address the concerns of Mr. Charles Mok and other members. What investigation and studies have you conducted on technology? You have to bring in experts. And please launch a public hearing and let members of the public come. Those members of the public who have no knowledge about this are very worried. Nowadays, I receive phone calls which told me that, Emily Lau, they're going to arrest you. And Mr. Charles Mok also received such telephone calls. Well, Undersecretary, you were also a policeman. You must address these public worries. I told you all these yesterday. Why is it that it sounds like now that my remarks fell on deaf ears? Well, after listening to you, we did go back and do some homework. The government is duty-bound to explain to the public how to protect security and privacy. That's correct. After last night's meeting, as Mr. Charles Mok said, these are very technical issues. Here, even if we spend a great deal of time to explain them, members may not understand. I agree that we should provide a supplementary information to explain technical issues, security issues, and privacy issues. The KPI, how the security system can guard against members' worry about personal particular on ID cards being read. As we explained, that could not be done. Anyway, we'll give you another paper to explain the security issues. We're not talking about a very open platform. It's precisely because of what Ms. Lau said and because of last night's meeting that we intended to give you a supplementary paper on this. Mr. Chairman, he should have said that right from the very beginning. He's wasting our time. Mr. Yu Si Wing. Thank you, Chairman. The new smart card system will expedite the reading time to facilitate members of the public crossing the boundary. I have two questions still. For the new ID cards, for the smart system, how will it compare with the existing system in terms of encryption? What has been enhanced? Will the new technology reduce the possibility of the leakage of personal data on the cards? And then we're told that the software system has expired. We're relying on extension of the maintenance contracts till 2018. If there's any further extension, there may be major technical issues. Any contingency plan? Under Secretary, let me say something about encryption and how security is enhanced, and then I'll defer to Mr. Chow. At present, if we describe the system as a one-door system, in future it will be a two-door system. That is, on top of the present security measures, we'll have enhanced security. That is the RFID that we're talking about. Well, for the existing cards, it takes a few minutes for the machine to read the data on the cards. In future, will the time be shortened? Well, the more you use the cards, the quicker it may be damaged. For the non-touch technology is what we described as BAC plus KPI with optic transmission. Now, the old system has been launched for 11 years. We have not experienced any leakage of personal data because of chip damage. The existing platform is already a highly secure KPI system. For the proposed new system, we're going to add in BAC plus optic technology. Both thresholds are protected by a KPI with added encrypted transmission. So in that regard, security is enhanced. Mr. Yu Si Wing and then Mr. Ma Fung Kwok. Mr. Chairman, my ID card has been used for 10 years. Well, according to the proposed plan, by 2022, all cards will be replaced. In the interim, what will happen? Has the government considered that? Maybe after 10 odd years, a great number of ID cards have problems, then how will you cope? As Mr. Wong Kwok Kin asked, for the new ID cards, their lifespan will be longer. By how much will they be longer than the existing cards? 10 years or what? If the cards can only be used for 10 years, then you won't be able to address our concern. We of course want the lifespan to be as long as possible. For example, to increase it from 10 years to 15 years. But we have to look at the market situation. That is, how many years of warranty can service providers offer? According to our study and the Immigration Department study, market suppliers only provide a 10-year warranty at the moment. We'll see how or whether or not that can be lengthened. But in reality, we have to see whether there are such suppliers in the market. As for damaged cars and contingency plan, I'll defer to the Assistant Director.
We don't want to see such cases, but should some of these cases do occur, we will make use of our resources, because we still have some spare capacity. And we hope that would help. Second, if the number goes up, we have to work in two shifts to extend our working hours to deal with additional applications. Theoretically, we can double the capacity to handle ID applications. And if that's still not good enough, we will seek further funding from the government to increase manpower substantially to deal with the applications. And we cannot rule out that performance pledge will not be achieved at that point. There's a question about why we have issued 11 million ID cards. First of all, there are children who will have to be issued with new cards after reaching 11 and 18. And then there are mobile population who would leave Hong Kong. And then there are also new immigrants who would get permanent IDs after residing in Hong Kong for the required period. This is going to be made of by polycarbonate. The card is made of polycarbonate. I believe you can ask for a longer warranty period in the tendering exercise. You should be bold in asking for a longer warranty. For my ID card, by the time we reach 2022, I will be using it for 18 years. So I don't know whether you can do this, but you should strive to achieve a longer lifespan. Mr. Ma Fung Kwok and then Mr. Kwok Wai Keung. As I've been listening to other members and from the PowerPoint introduction, you have both contact and non-contact technology. I don't know why you have to go for this dual system, because the mainland is opting for a non-contact technology. If you have a dual system, it's more easily damaged. And also the capacity of the chip is going to go up from 30 odd KB to 80 KB. In the years during the two exercises, storage capacity has increased by leaps and bounds. There are many other things that you can do with the new smart identity cards, provided that the card holder authorizes such functions to be adopted. It can be about your personal information, your health records, and there can also be third-party applications to be adopted as long as proper authorization is given. I don't know whether, or I don't know what you can do with 80 KB. If you just upgrade it by one level, it would be a few times more in terms of capacity. 80 KB to me is a very small capacity. I'll defer to Mr. Chow, Assistant Director, to say something about this technical issue. First, on the question of the contact interface. Well, this is a transitional arrangement because apart from Immigration Department applications, we also have functions that would involve the LCSD, such as library card. They may not be able to upgrade their systems concurrently. That's why we want to keep this as a transitional arrangement. It's just the interface. The chip in the future will be embedded in the card. What you see on the surface is just the contact point. It's not the chip anymore. As for the capacity, it's a question of balance. Chip capacity is not like memory card capacity. We have hundreds of gigabytes in capacity for memory cards. But for the chip capacity, the capacity would incorporate processors, microprocessors. In some chips, the processor is a dual core capacity. So it has to do with cost. And in the coming few years, if there are better choices offered by suppliers, we would certainly consider using chip with a higher capacity. What is the possibility of allowing third-party applications in the future? OGCIO is currently conducting a feasibility study with a view to identifying additional functions which are considered popular among our people. Is still ongoing. Mr. Chan Kim-po has raised his hand as asking for a chance to speak. And then there are 3 more members who have just joined us. Are you going to speak? Only Mr. Chan Kim-po would like to speak. Is that Mr. Poche? Hands up if you want to speak. So 2 members. I can only allow. I just need 2 minutes. 3 minutes for the 2 members, because we have cancelled one agenda item. So we might have some time, and then 8 more members who want to speak. 6 of them will be given 4 minutes, and 2 3 minutes. I have to attend another meeting, so for the rest of this meeting, I'll ask the Deputy Chairman to take over. The next member to speak is Mr. Kwok Wai Keung. Well, many members have said that there are advantages with the new smart identity cards. The capacity is higher, the photo is more real life, and but there must be a precondition, and that is the old one has reached the end of its useful life. You cannot just talk about the merits of the new card. Of course, with new cards, new identity cards, we want to adopt better and more advanced technologies. The Bureau is very specific and firm that there are 2 doors. The optical one is the first one, RFID is the second, and then the 2 doors cannot be opened at the same time. One must be open before the other can be accessed. So it would prevent people from reading or accessing, retrieving your information at a distance. According to the Undersecretary, the contractor can only provide a warranty period of, say, 10 years. So you expect that the exercise would be repeated every 10 years. So why is it not a part of our immigration policy that the identity card has to be replaced once every 10 years because you will look different after 10 years and so on and so forth. But if the contractors now says that they can only maintain the system for 5 years, then are we going to have a replacement exercise every 5 years? Can we make it a policy that we are going to do this once every 10 years as a matter of policy, and not because the contractor can offer the service? And then you are going to retrieve the old identity cards. How are you going to dispose of such cards? Because people are now environmentally more conscious. So please tell us what you are going to do with them. Well, the government wants to replace the smart ID cards because of our needs, not because the contractors' commercial interests. And I think Mr. Kwok has made some very valid points. The existing smart ID has aged, and we need to replace the system. So this is the consideration of necessity. Having said that, we have to face the reality, because in the tendering exercise for the provision of service, what can be provided by the supplier, service providers in the market? We hope that the warranty period can be longer. So in our tender documents, when we finalize the details, we would certainly find ways to achieve this. And after the replacement, what are we going to do with the old ID cards? I'll ask Mr. Chow from the Immigration Department to respond. For the old identity cards, when it is worn out and damaged, or when it's recovered after the issuance of the new card, my department would use a cutting machine, a very strong cutting machine to cut up the cards, and then the pieces will be handled by our contractors. Mr. Lam Tai Fai, a weak government finds it difficult to govern with strength. This is really sad. Well, things move forward. The community moves forward. The old smart identity cards cannot last forever, so it's just natural that we need to replace them with new ID cards with better technology and higher capacities and more advanced functions. I just don't think people should oppose to this. Please don't politicize the issues. Of course, we are concerned about security and of personal information, but we should not try to hinder the government. But of course, this is just the views adopted by some individuals. Law-abiding citizens may not be too concerned. So I hope the government would do what is right. Under Secretary, you say that the security features can be enhanced. So over the years, how many cases of forgery have we discovered? You need 4 years for the replacement exercise. Are we at risk during the 4-year period? Can it be done over, say, 3 years and 8 months instead of 4 years? And the processing time is going to be reduced from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. Can the e-channels cope in the interim period, in the transitional period? Would there be a long queue before an e-channel gate alongside a much shorter one? Under Secretary, we haven't uncovered many the forged ID cards. So far, the number stands at 3,258 is 0.028% of the total number of cars issued. The total number of cars issued is 11 million. So the forgery rate is low. But as I've said, we have seen new technology used by forgers in Europe. They have used much more advanced technology in forgery. Therefore, we need to upgrade our system to cope.
As for the other question, I'll defer to Mr. Chow. Well, in the interim, can the existing system withstand the new forgery technology as observed in Germany? Well, we took reference from the last exercise in 2003. In terms of manpower as well as the number of replacement centers, demographic distribution, etc., have been considered. If the exercise is to be further shortened, technically speaking, that's possible. However, if we are to identify suitable sites for replacement centers, it may not be easy. What about e-channels? We've already started a plan. By 2016, about 600 e-channels in Hong Kong will all be able to accept both old and new cards. Next, Mr. Christopher Chung and then Mr. James To. Thank you, Chairman. Under Secretary, you're rather unlucky. In fact, there are not that many ignorant people. They are false, ignorant people. They just want to block the passage of this proposal. So they're creating difficulties for you. Well, let me come back to this issue. This replacement exercise will, to a certain extent, cause nuisance to the public. For the elderly people and persons with disabilities, will they be exempted? As for self-help, can these two categories of people obtain complete self-help, say, by opting for online services such that when they go to your replacement centers, they only need to have their photo taken? Many of these people get off work late, very often later than 8 p.m., like you, Under Secretary. So what about the opening hours of the replacement centers? Will they be long enough to cope with the need of these people? And of course, for those people who are occupying the streets, they may not be able to go to your replacement centers, and that will be a headache for you. Well, there are so many electronic parts in the card. Can they withstand the wear and tear caused by, say, weather? What if a card is dropped into the washing machine? Will it be damaged? And will such cards be damaged when they pass through X-ray machines? Be it identity cards or other verification cards like driving licenses, library cards, etc., can they all be added onto the ID card so that people don't have to carry a lot of cards with them? I'll briefly respond to a couple of points, and the Immigration Department will explain the implementation issues. Concerning multi-uses, as we said, the OGCIO is indeed studying how to achieve that. That is, to add extra functions to identity verification. The next question is durability. Because of the materials and our requirements, temperature, strength, etc. will be enhanced for the new cards. And in the tendering exercise, we'll have new requirements. Mr. Chiu? Chairman, under the Registration of Persons Ordinance, those people who cannot come personally can apply for a certificate of exemption. They don't need to appear. Say if they have a medical certificate, somebody else can apply for them and will still issue them with an ID card. According to our last experience, we had 9 replacement centers opening from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I envisage that we'll do the same this time. Last time with the 9 replacement centers, it's already very difficult to identify suitable sites, suitable premises. So we'd like to strike a balance. We'll try as far as possible to facilitate the public. Mr. James Toh. Thank you, Chairman. For this replacement exercise, discussion has started in society. There are a number of concerns. Colleagues mentioned RFID. That's a concern. I believe the government has to explain very carefully the exercise. Perhaps you can arrange for members to have an on-site visit. Well, whether or not you treat us as knowledgeable or otherwise in this regard, you need to lead us on an on-site inspection because we're going to approve this or otherwise on behalf of the public. And there's another concern. If eventually a mainland technology company obtained the contract with a very low bid, and then the company obtained all the encryption keys, then will that company have access to the personal data of all citizens of Hong Kong? Now, if members of the public do ask me that question, they say, oh, Mr. Toh, you say that time will be shortened from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. But I'm already very satisfied with 12 seconds. Well, whether it's 10 years or 15 years, the rate of damage is very low, so I'm very afraid. I don't know what's in this whole exercise. I don't need that 4 seconds. Well, I can queue up, say, even if there are 10 persons in the queue, I only need to wait 40 seconds more. But I'm willing to wait. Will the government tell us that it will force us to shorten the processing time by 4 seconds because there are different demands in society? And for those who have emigrated, they may ask, why do you need to see me once every 10 years? Well, Cathay Pacific will reap a fortune because they have so many flights coming to Hong Kong. Well, when I visited Chinatowns overseas, many New Territories residents told me they might not want to come back so frequently. But now you may issue an order that if these people don't come back by a certain date, they will lose their Hong Kong identity if they stay in Chinatown. So can you guarantee that so long as these people are not back yet, their existing ID cards will still be valid? So don't declare their ID cards invalid immediately. Otherwise, they will be very worried. Can you take care of that point? Under Secretary, first of all, about security technology, we've already agreed to supply a supplementary paper so that members understand more the technology involved. Then you understand why those scenarios that you worry about will not happen. Secondly, why do we have to use optic technology plus RFID? Why don't we keep the existing technology? As we mentioned, this technology is nothing new elsewhere. In UK, they're already using that. That's a global trend. We must advance with time. There's no reason for us to use backward technology. Dr. Fernando Chung and then Dr. Chung Lai-wan. Mr. Chairman, these new ID cards are controversial. Our members may not understand. In many countries, they don't use ID cards. This has something to do with human rights. In the USA, they never had any ID cards. As for UK, in 2010, an act was actually repealed in 2011 to do away with ID cards. This is respect for every individual. In Hong Kong, we're used to ID cards. Yes, some jurisdictions also require their citizens to carry ID cards. So we need not argue on this. But when we look back at recent practices adopted by the government, we'll be able to see that some demonstrators, when they were doing shopping or strolling the streets, they had their ID card particulars taken down by police officers. And then when they went to Macau, they were not accepted. They could not enter Macau, or their home return cards were withdrawn. That is, unknowingly, these people already had their personal data retrieved by somebody, by the policeman or by unlawful elements. So it's reasonable for members of the public to have this worry. The government told us that we shouldn't worry. The new cards will be very safe. But then technology can also advance. Maybe new readers will be able to decode the encryption. So I think we should have an informed discussion. In paragraph 6, you said that in 2010 you had a consultancy report, and in October last year, the Immigration Department completed a feasibility study. Can you make public those reports such that we can look at the study results, as well as your analysis of different types of technology, their pros and cons, etc. All these have to make public. You have to have transparency. Don't hide these information from us. I'm worried that very casually and randomly, police officers can obtain people's ID cards. And in future, if the data can be read from a distance, we'll be very concerned and we won't agree. Well, maybe, Undersecretary, you can repeat your answer. Let me repeat that given the design we're proposing, it's impossible for the data to be read from a distance. It will be a two-door system. Data cannot be read beyond 2 centimeters from the card. So that won't be allowed by us. What you said wouldn't be allowed by us. What about the consultancy report as well as the Immigration Department's study report, feasibility study report? Can you make public those reports? I understand that members want to know more. I agree that we'll provide a supplementary paper. In terms of privacy, we'll try to retrieve more information for members' perusal as far as possible. Dr. Chung Lai-wan and then Mr. Chan Kin-po. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask the Undersecretary again. In the past, our ID cards carried chips, right? But no RFID, right? No radio frequency technology adopted back then, right? Now, between the existing cards and the future cards, the main difference is that at present, optic technology can be used to read the data on our cards at present, right? But in future, that will be more difficult. Is that correct? Well, in future, the ID cards will have to be placed on a scanner, an optic reader. And then the scanner can read the data at a particular position on the card. The data are different for different people. And then all these will be converted into an encryption key. And there will be this one single threshold first before they can proceed to wireless transmission. And then there must be another match with the encryption key. That is, for each chip, there's a key to prove that the card is issued by the Immigration Department. And the reader will have another device to read the encryption key that is endorsed by the Immigration Department. So 2 tiers of verification before data reading.
So no access under normal circumstances. What about tracing people? Well, since optical reading is the first step before the RFID can be used. So normally the chip is dormant. So I just can't see how this can be done. You know that some animals are implanted with chips. And people rely on the chip to locate lost animals.
喺呢個 RFID 嘅呢個
In the field of RFID, there are different applications. Sometimes it's active, sometimes it's passive. Some are provided with power supply, and some are not. All right, understood. For animal management, it's for different purpose. But we adopt ISO 14443 for the security encrypted identity documents. I know that these technologies are not developed by Hong Kong people. Are we going to develop our own technology in the future? We don't rule out any technology developed by any jurisdiction. The important thing is that the technology should meet our tendering requirements. Are we doing any development on this? All right. 2 more members would like to speak. The chairman has said that they will be given 3 minutes each. I cannot extend this meeting beyond 4:30, so please make good use of the time allowed. Mr. Chen Kim-bo, I think it's important that we have a regular replacement of our identity cards. 10 years is a suitable duration. In the 10-year period, technology has changed and advanced, and also people's appearances would change over time, so there's a need to replace the identity cards, and also there is the wear and tear. People, of course, may have concerns, but they are not going to accept your explanations. However much you try to, the Undersecretary has promised us a separate document to explain the technology. That's good. That would allay some of the concerns. Well, technology advances so rapidly. Once you have done this, you may have access to the new encryption technology. Do you provide the spare capacity on the cards so that we may upgrade the encryption level in due course? Let me clarify a point. Although we are talking about a 10-year period, by 2018 it will be 15 years, so the need is even more acute. And when we go for tendering, we will of course seek the latest technology in the market. Mr. Chen is asking whether we can provide for spare capacity to incorporate new technology in the future. We can consider this. Thank you for your suggestion. Mr. Paul Chair, in other countries such as Germany, Belgium, they changed this in 5 years, every 5 years. So it's a good time frame because of the changes in the period. There are people who are concerned about privacy. So I have a few questions. First, this technology called RFID. It's been used in auto tow applications and luggage identification in our airport. What other applications and functions are being applied? We are also concerned about we will be tracked. Actually, our mobile smartphones would leak all kinds of personal information. That's a much bigger problem. So while we worry about a smaller problem with our identity cards and ignore the bigger problems with mobile phones, and also if the reading ability is higher, is better, then reading of the thumbprint or fingerprint would be better. Miss Pamela Park has difficulties in having the fingerprint read by machines. And apart from e-health channels and other applications such as library cards, what else can be done? On the last questions, the OGCIO is exploring how other functions and applications can be incorporated in the new identity cards. As for the biometrics, we are going to consider covering people's facial appearance. We can check people's facial appearance, for example, for the processing the outgoing visitors who are going to leave Hong Kong. We are used to fingerprints. The reliability percentage is 99.3 or 99.4%. Facial recognition has a reliability rate of 99.7%. This is the direction to go. We also pay attention to other emerging technology. Compared with our mobile phones, how harmful is RFID going to be? Well, your description is a very valid one. The security level for our new ID cards is high. Comparatively speaking, it's like comparing the size of a bull to a mosquito, as you put it. All right, so members, do you support the application's proposal, provided that there's going to be a supplementary paper from the administration? Do you support submitting this application for the discussion of the Finance Committee? How can you propose this? They haven't finished. They were going to present us with a paper. Well, I'm just reading out this one. Maybe you should ask this Undersecretary. Do you want to proceed to a discussion of the Finance Committee? We wish that the discussion would be with the Finance Committee, and we are willing to provide another paper and have further discussions. After they have submitted the additional paper, we would then decide whether it should go to the FC. Perhaps you can promise to submit the additional paper before you go to the FC. Are we going to have another discussion in this panel before they go to the FC? I don't think that's what the Secretary has proposed. I think we should explain further to members. This will be done. At the same time, we would like to go to the FC to seek funding approval. And if we, after reading the additional paper, we have questions, and the questions cannot be resolved, or we then may not agree. We are just talking about presenting the proposal to the FC for discussion. They should address our concerns and answer our questions before they go to FC. This is our practice. The Undersecretary has agreed as a promise to give us the additional paper. At the same time, they will just queue up for FC. Well, that's a different level. We should resolve all the issues and concerns on the policy first. Well, there will be a discussion in the Finance Committee before the proposal is endorsed. The Undersecretary has made it very clear that they are going to do this in parallel. If members don't object, they will do things in parallel. On the one hand, the proposal will be submitted to the FC, and on the other hand, they are going to offer further explanations. In that case, I object to the proposal. How come can you invite members to consent to the submission of the proposal to the FC? Well, we still have just a few minutes left. So I don't think I would be guided by your preference. If you agree that in principle this proposal can be submitted to the FC for discussion, and at the same time the further explanation would be offered to members. Do we agree? And yes, there are members in objection. All right, in that case, let's ask members to come back to cast their votes. Well, we don't have time for the 5 minutes agreed. I hope all those who are here would give their indication. I don't think that can be done. I think the chairman has the power to suggest this, but I have the power to propose that this be put to a vote. Please ask this clerk. Please ask the clerk to explain. I think the chairman is empowered to do this. You want another judicial review against you? For those who are against, please raise a hand. I would like to ask people to come back. We don't have 5 minutes. My decision is that we don't have 5 minutes. We should make a decision here. But there's a request. There's a request made by a member asking for division for the vote. If there's no 5 minutes left, then the chairman can make a final decision. Members have the right to ask for a division. For those who are against the proposal, please raise your hands. Once again, I don't think you should put this to a vote. We have asked for a division. We have asked you to call this decision. It's not a decision made by the clerk. It's done by it's something for the chairman to decide. So you're not following the rules. We might as well dispense with the discussion. The clerk has said that we don't have a quorum. So we have to freeze everything. I would put on record in our that this is the indication expressed by a member. We cannot extend the meeting any further, so the meeting will have to be adjourned. I will ask the chairman to handle the matter later.